It gives us great honor at this time to welcome today's commencement speaker, Mr. Regis Philbin. A cultural icon and veteran television personality, Regis has entertained and highlighted audiences for years, first stepping in front of the camera more than 50 years ago, and has since undertaken talk shows, game shows, the literary world, and the music industry. His ambition and dedication define him as an exemplary model for Trine University students and the innumerable others he has reached during his career. A long-running daytime TV favorite, originated in the 1983 debut of Mr. Philbin's The Morning Show. The program became Live with Regis and Kathy Lee in 1985, and then entered into a new era with Live with Regis and Kelly in 2001. Regis stepped away from Live in 2011 to pursue new adventures in the entertainment world, which included breaking his own Guinness World Record for the most hours on camera in U.S. television, for totaling over 17,000 hours during his career. Known for hosting the popular Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, America's Got Talent, and $1 Million Password, Regis also has a passion for music. His albums, released by Hollywood Records, consist of timeless classics, duets, Hollywood tunes or holiday tunes, and a collection of some of the greatest songs in American pop. Other outstanding achievements for Regis include a Lifetime Achievement Award from the National Academy of Television Arts and Sciences at the 2008 Daytime Emmy Awards, co-winner with Kelly Ripa at the 2011 Daytime Entertainment Emmy Award for Outstanding Talk Show Host, a Broadcasting and Cable Lifetime Achievement Award in 2001, and induction into the National Association of Broadcasters Hall of Fame in 2008. Regis and his wife, Joy, live in Manhattan and Connecticut and have two grown daughters, Joanna and Jennifer. A native of New York City, Regis is a graduate of the University of Notre Dame and received an honorary doctorate of law for his contributions to Notre Dame in South Bend, Indiana. Ladies and gentlemen, we are honored and pleased to welcome Regis Philbin as Trine University's 2015 commencement speaker. Regis.
Thank you very much. Well, good morning, and thank you very much for inviting me. I came in here yesterday and have been so impressed with this university and all the people. I can't tell you how happy I am to be here. And congratulations on your graduation. This is a big day in your lives, an important day. Things are about to change for you. Some of you may have a job lined up already, and some others may have yet to find that job, and some may not even know what they want. And that was my problem at that point in my career. But let me tell you a little bit, just a little bit about my life and the mistakes I made. When I was 8 years old, I began to listen to the radio on WNEW in New York City. That's the #1 station there. Of course, there was no television in those days. Every night at 9:30, they would play some Bing Crosby songs. And some of you may not even know who Bing Crosby is, but he was the one who led all of the singers, Frank Sinatra, Perry Como, Dean Martin, Tony Bennett. I've talked to all of them, and all of them said the same thing. It was Crosby who got them started. Anyway, I would listen to him every night at 9:30. And he had a fabulous voice, and I just loved the sound of his voice and the songs he was singing. And so I learned all of the Crosby songs, and I loved them. And I dreamed at 10 years old that one day I could do them too. Well, anyway, I went on to Notre Dame in 1949. My father came back from World War II. He was a Marine. Another war, he said, is in the making, and that I should join the ROTC on campus, which I did. So in 1953, when I graduated, there was another war, the Korean War, just like he said. And that's where I went out to the Pacific. After a couple of years, the war came to an end. I returned to my base in Coronado, across the bay from San Diego. And in this BOQ, Bachelor Officers Quarters, I had left two Marine major friends two guys who had been up through the ranks, whose lieutenants had been killed on Guadalcanal, and they all of a sudden became the next lieutenant. So they fought through two wars and became my friends, and when it was time for me to leave, they came out one by one to say goodbye. The second Marine, Major Keigler Flake was his name. He's from Ohio. A very tough guy. Very, very tough. When he asked a question, he wanted a fast and full answer. And he said to me, well, what are you going to do with the rest of your life? And I said, well, I see some changes in television now, Major, but I don't know that what I could do for television. He said, don't you know, you can have anything you want in this life, you've only got to want it bad enough. Now, do you want it? I said, Major, I want it, but I don't know what I can offer them. I have no experience at all. He came across the room, put his face right in front of mine, and said out loud, I said, do you want it? He was getting angry. So I clicked my heels, gave him a salute, and said, yes, sir, I want it. And that was the first time I could say that, in my 20s. I hope you all have said what you want and are living for it right now, because it really helps. Well, he said, go up, get in your car, drive up to Hollywood right now and make it happen. And that's what I did. And I got a job at a TV station carrying furniture around the stage. You think that's funny, huh? You're just carrying furniture. Well, that's what I did about a year and a half. I lived in the prop house there. I would pack up and return films to all the studios like Fox and Warner Brothers and Paramount and the rest of them. It's too long a story to tell you, but I did get started because Major Flake made me say it. About a month after working in the prop house, I thought it'd be funny if I reviewed some of the shows that the station ran that day. Late at night, I would hang up a report on some of the shows we had on the air. And I thought my reports were going to be kind of funny, but then I read them and they became a little caustic, and I was trying to be funny. The general manager, Al Flanagan, another former Marine, found out about it, called me into his office, chewed me up, chewed me out, finished by saying, but you can't write. So go to work in the newsroom, and that was the beginning of it from there. The next stop was San Diego, a radio position in a car that would travel around from 6 a.m. to 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And every hour on the hour, I would have something else to tell them about what was happening in San Diego. The only problem was nothing much was happening in San Diego. But I would stop at the police station to see what they were doing. But San Diego really was, it's a beautiful city, but quite quiet in those days. So one of the two TV stations then called me and offered me a job working in their newsroom. The next year, the other station called me for a double newscast for 6 and 11 p.m. But by that time, I thought, gee, I wanted to do a Saturday night show following the late news. And they said, just come over here, you can do that. So that's how that started. The show became a hit, and in 3 years, I was back to Hollywood, where I got a call from Joey Bishop, who was going to work at ABC against Johnny Carson on NBC, and I would be his head McMahon. So you can see how you can go from job to job, and maybe city to city. It all depends on what you want. Don't be afraid that it's not going to work for you. You're going to make it happen. And there's going to be lots of things along the way that you're not expecting, but will come to you. And if it's what you want, go for it. Let me tell you a little more about Bishop. Joey and I took a walk every day before the show up at Vine Street to Hollywood Boulevard and back. I would do most of the talking because he didn't talk. One day, I had nothing to talk about. And for the fun of it, I said, Joey, what did you want to be when you were a kid? And he told me, when I was 10 years old, I would stand on the street corners of Philadelphia and tell jokes. And people would laugh and fall down, and I wanted to be a comedian. And he became a pretty good comedian, good enough to hang around with the whole Sinatra gang. Then after a few minutes, he asked me, what about you? What did you want? And I told him I had never mentioned this to anyone in my life. But when I was 10 years old, I would listen to Bing Crosby on the radio, and I wanted to be him. 3 months later, Bing Crosby was a guest on our show. I was very excited. Bishop wanted him to sing, and so he said, Bing, see this kid, Regis? He loves you. He thinks you're great. Please, Bing, sing a song to him. No problem for Crosby. He just turned, looked at me, and sang Turalura Lura, the song he sang as a priest in a hit show called Going My Way, for which he won the Academy Award. He just turned and sang, and I was thrilled. And then Joey decided to have some fun, and he said, Bing, Regis knows all your songs. Regis, sing one of Bing's songs to him. It had been about 25 years since I used to sing all of those Crosby songs. I said to myself, I can't believe this. I haven't sung these songs in years. But I turned to Bing, and one of the songs I sang to myself all my life came out. It was a song called Pennies from Heaven. It was a song he sang during the Depression here in America to cheer up the people. I sang it, Crosby joined in, and it was something that I never forgot. The next day, I got a telegram from Mercury Records in Chicago. Would you like to do an album of Bing Crosby songs? Now, all this is happening to me 25 years after I listened to Bing and wanted to be him. It was kind of like almost too late for me to make this move. That's why you've got to think about it now while you're young and you can move around. So it was almost, I showed Bishop the telegram, and he said, someone is playing a joke on you. I think he was a little mad that I got this telegram, and he ripped it up. The next day, the guy from Chicago called and said, so what's it going to be, yes or no? I said, yes, yeah, I'll try it, sure. And that's how it happened. I didn't seek it. I never thought about it. But if you want something, all of you remember, you must let people know. And sometimes luck can bring you something else, as it did for me on the Bishop show. But it's easier for you if you let them know what it is you want to do. But something else happened on that show. A lot of cities around the country in the late 60s and early 70s were having fights, crisis, right out in the streets. It was a tough time. Bishop was angry. He said to me, go into the audience, find a young person, and ask them what they want to be, what they want to do for themselves and for this country. So I walked into the audience with a microphone, and there was a young man just sitting in the front row. I went up to him. He stood up. I asked him what he wanted to be and how he could help our country. And the young guy just looked at me and could not answer me. And it reminded me of myself at his age, when I could never tell anybody what I wanted to do because I thought I couldn't do it, and they'd only laugh at me. He was a nice kid, and I really, really liked him a lot. I said, just relax. Tell me what it is you want to do. What is it? What's on your mind? And how you going to do it? He still couldn't answer me. But I knew there was something he wanted to tell me, but time was running out. This is a live show. I had to leave him. I thanked him a lot, wished him good luck, and I moved on to another person. But in my mind, I never forgot the look on his face, because that was me, and it shouldn't be any of you. So you can see that these things could happen to you. If it does, be sure you tell everybody what it is you're going for, what you want. Don't clam up. Don't be afraid to tell them. Let's talk about you. Fate will somehow throw certain, maybe even unlikely characters you even weren't thinking about into your life. It's usually for reasons much larger than you know at the time. Whoever it is, whatever they want, be open to them. Give them a chance. Think about them, and give yourself time to think over what they're telling you. And don't be afraid to let people know what it is you want to do with your life. Don't be hesitant, be confident. Just make sure you know what you absolutely cannot or do not want to do. Don't be afraid to admit that. It doesn't mean you can't go ahead and take a chance on something different, even something surprising at work. Believe me, if it's good, attention will be paid. Eventually, and maybe not right away, but sometime, someday, someone will notice what you're doing and how well you're doing it, and it will be to your benefit. That's how you move up. That's how you succeed in whatever business you choose. And never stop saying thank you to the people who have made the biggest difference in your life. They were very important to you. The world you know now in your youth is only a tiny sliver of the world out there that's waiting for you. But it's there for the taking when you are ready. And you are ready now. Even after a bad mistake, if you make one, or a disappointment, the true test is how you face the next day. You get up, you show up, and I promise you, you will soon cheer up. So don't let a setback early on overcome you or stop you or change you. Learn something from it and use it. And why not this? Make perfection your goal. It will always bring you that much closer to truly achieving it. Keep thinking about it. You're going to succeed. You're going to make it. Never think it's more than you can do. The most talented people you meet or see always make their work look so much easier than it really is. You can do that too. See, these are things that I didn't know, didn't do, just should have. But I want to go back now to the young man I was telling you about. He stood there, couldn't tell me what he wanted to do with the rest of his life. I would never forget him because he reminded me so much of myself, thinking he wouldn't be good enough for the job, whatever it was. Wondering if he could do what he had in his mind. He simply couldn't tell me. I think he was afraid that he couldn't do it, and that's why he felt that way. Now, about 25 years later, I was working in New York City at ABC on the morning show that went around the country. I went to see a movie screening in New York that night. I enjoyed the movie tremendously. Someone came down the aisle and said, "Regis, somebody would like to see you up on stage." This is after the movie was over. Whoever it was, he was already surrounded by people. I couldn't see who it was. I couldn't see him. I waited for a while and then thought, he's probably going to want to leave almost immediately, so I began to walk away. And I had gotten a few feet away from the crowd surrounding him when I heard someone say, "Regis, just a minute." I stopped. He came up to me and said, "You probably don't remember me, but one night years ago, you came into the Joey Bishop Show audience to ask young people what they wanted to do with their lives. You came to me, and I couldn't tell you what I wanted. Now, every time I see you on TV, it comes back to haunt me. I get angry with myself for not answering you." I told him, I said, I remember the whole thing very well because I could never tell anyone what I wanted to do either. I didn't forget him that night because I knew what he was thinking as we stood there looking at each other. Now, I told him he had become a giant in his business. And thank God for us, he pursued it. And his name is Steven Spielberg. So you can see how important he is and has become. So in time, you're going to meet people who will inspire you. If you're lucky to know them, they'll become a part of your life. I'm sure you've already met Lou Holtz, who is now a part of this university. I used to go back to Notre Dame just to hear Lou talk to his team before a game. He's not only wise about football, but about everything else that life will throw at you. You can give him your toughest personal problem, one so difficult you can't figure it out, one so difficult you don't even know what the real answer is. And Lou will listen to you, analyze what you're telling him, dissect it, and give you the most effective solution. He will tell you what's right and what's wrong, what's good and what's bad. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. He is one of those people that you're lucky enough to meet who will inspire you. Like those two Marines I met, and the one who made me tell him and myself what I wanted to do, not what I thought I couldn't do. There will be more people like Lou around wherever you go. These are the people who will help you advance. So this is the beginning of it for you. You've spent at least 16 years of your lives in school, and now you're ready to get out there and make a success of your life. It helps to know if you know what you want. Don't be afraid to look at everything else. Something may change your mind. Something may be better. Let people see what you can do and let them know what you want to do. Now you are ready to go out there and make a success of your life. It's all ahead of you. It's all waiting for you. Go get it, and good luck.